Brand takes a long time to build, but it's the most valuable thing that you can own. It gives you the ability to get insane returns on advertising, price far above the market, and keep people only buying from you. It's very hard to imagine something that is better than that. It just takes time. First off, I didn't even understand what branding was. Branding is simply an association people make between something they know and something they don't know. And the thing they don't know is your business, and the thing they do know should be something they like. And then over time, that rubbing of the thing that they like rubs off on your brand, and eventually you can drop this thing and only have your company, and they will make that positive association with you. And so there's 3 ways that people will make associations. This is how you build a brand. One is what you say or show. So that's controllable. So people will associate this hat with me, and if you got value during this thing, then you'll associate the value with acquisition.com. Cool. So that's what I can say or show. This is advertising. Me making this content is advertising, right? I'm letting people know about my stuff. The second level is what other people tell them. And so that means like either someone who's interacted with your advertising or someone who's interacted with your product. So it's like, hey, I saw this trailer for Mission Impossible, 306, and you're like, I think I'm going to go see it. Now, if your friend says, oh, I saw it, it was bad, don't waste your money. The likelihood I go see it, if I agree with that person's taste, that's key side note there. If I tend to like the same movies they like, then I would take that really heavily. If it's like my mom, and I don't agree with movies that she likes, I might just go see it more because I'm like, oh, if she hated it, I'll probably love it, right? And so what you say as the company owner is thing 1 that you can control the most. Thing 2 that you can't really control is what other people say about your stuff, which then goes to C or 3, which is what the customer ends up saying once they experience it. So it's what you say, what other people say, and what they actually experience. And so as you can imagine, what they experience is going to be the strongest thing. So you see the ad, you think about going to the movie. Someone tells you something about the movie, maybe that influences your decision. Once you see the movie, then you have a much stronger opinion. And you can see another ad about the movie, but you're like, I don't care what the ad says. I saw the movie. I bought the sandwich. I went to use their marketing services. You have a very informed opinion because you had an experience. And so this is why brand and product are always going to be interrelated. Because how do you get what other people say to be good to your potential prospects? You make sure that their experience was exceptional so that when they do see it, they say, hey, the movie was awesome, you should go see it. Now, if someone who I like a lot says, hey, the movie was awesome, you should go see it, and I'm like, I saw the ads, I didn't think it was that good. And they're like, dude, believe me, see it. Now all of a sudden, I had poor advertising, they have a higher likelihood of seeing. And then if I go see it and I say, wow, he was so right, this was awesome, then I'm like, I tell other people. Now, here's what gets kind of interesting. If I go see it and I think it sucks, that influences the brand of my friend who told me about it, because now I don't actually believe their opinion of movies anymore. And so that's why, as a side note, when people refer people to your business, they have to be treated so well because that person who made the referral risks relational capital. They risk their personal brand to the friend. And the reason they make that risk is they actually want to get a return on it, right? Like, hey, you should see this movie, because they want the friend to associate the good experience with the movie with them. And that's why people do things. That's why you do refer products that you actually like, because you want people to associate or have that problem solved because of the thing that you connected them to, right? And so we want to be that connection, and that's how we make money. Now, if we're thinking long-term though, from a branding perspective, if you make a big promise and you deliver on that promise consistently, people will say, wow, they are what they said they were, which is one of my biggest rules of marketing, is state the facts and tell the truth. Don't make promises you can't keep. And just say, hey, this is why I like using historic, which is like, this is what has happened. I don't know if it'll happen for you, but if you're willing to take that bet, then there you go. And so if we think about the things that are some of the strongest levers in business, price is the strongest lever on profit of all things that you can control business. If you get people to buy something for $1 million that other people buy for $10, you're gonna make a lot of money. And so price is one of the strongest things that has a lever on market. And you can measure the strength of a brand by how much above the commoditized price or what other competitors charge, you can charge because of your brand premium. So if you look at like a Nike versus a generic brand for t-shirts, shorts, shoes, basketballs, whatever, they will charge a premium and they will get that premium. And so they're able to sell more units at higher prices because of their brand and because of the associations people have with them. And so then the ROI from the brand becomes, how much does it cost me to make these associations that people find positive? And then you spread that out, or you fractionalize that against how much of an increase in price you can have against the commodity. And so if I sell 1 million units of something and I can sell it for $3 above market, then I have $3 million of excess that brand buys me. And so if I can get an association that yields me that outcome for, let's say, I can get a championship fighter for $250,000 a year to be in my ads, then I get a 10 to 1, or I'll say 300,000 to make it math simple. If I pay $300,000 to that association and I can now charge and make $3 million extra, I get 10 to 1 on that branding. The ROAS you get, return on advertising spend, absolutely still, all the metrics count the same for branding as they do with direct response advertising. You just have to measure over a longer time horizon. That's the difference. And I will say on a personal level, branding gets you far better returns on advertising than anything else. It just takes longer. And so think about the direct response world as like your paycheck. It's like you write a check in and you get money out. You write a check in, and the moment you stop spending that money, you stop making money. Brand is like your long-term investment. In the beginning, you're investing money into your IRA, you're investing money into your 401k, you're investing money in the stock market, but it's not really compounding yet. But the thing is that you keep doing that, and all of a sudden the compounding starts to become this monster that you can't even spend enough marketing dollars to make up for that level of compounding. And that's what happens over time. It just takes time to get there. But the way that you control it are that you make sure that the things that you were saying about yourself are associated with things that the people who you're trying to sell to associate positively. And this happens in content and also the people that you associate with publicly. The second part that you can control is how much you deliver on the promise, because the experience is always going to be the heaviest weighted thing that people have. Now, the approximation of an experience is a review, right? The reason reviews matter so much is because we see that, like, cool, they say they're great. Now I go to their site and I read reviews to see, are they telling the truth or not, based on approximate reviews. And then I say, okay, well, this guy had a 1 star, but it looks like he isn't a lot like me. Now I look at these other guys, oh, these are a lot more like my use case, and they had 5 stars. Okay, well then I feel like my risk adjusted on making this purchase is low. Now I buy it, and then I decide for myself. But the branding is a loop. It helps make the purchasing decision, and if you fulfill on that, then guess what they're not going to do? They took a risk by buying your product, not knowing who you were. They don't want to take that risk again. And so if you deliver on the promise, they will just buy again from you, even with the premium. And this is how brand in and of itself can create a competitive moat. People who buy Apple become Apple buyers. They just only buy Apple. And so even though somebody else's product might even be better, they don't want to risk trying it, and they don't want to have the cost of learning a new interface and all this other stuff. And so brand gets you higher returns on advertising. It allows you to price far above the market and get people that once they buy from you, they keep buying from you. And you do that by what you say, what other people say, and what customers experience at the very end when they use your product. And that either gets them into the buying loop again forever, or it kicks them out. If you look at the cutting edge direct response world, the strategies that they use approximate a brand. And so let me explain what that means. So if you go to, quote, cold traffic, people who don't know who you are, you have no association. Once those people go in your world, oftentimes, unless it's like a widget or something that's a very impulse purchase, you have something called like a warm-up sequence or a nurture sequence, or you deliver value, or you give lead magnets. These are all things that actually approximate branding. So if I give someone, let's say, a PDF that is very valuable, well thought out, has lots of research in it, someone might get a lot of value from that. And then I approximated a purchase with them. They did an exchange, they got something, and then that thing was valuable. And they used that to extrapolate into what a decision would be like, or what a product would be like if they made a purchase from you. And so you have these things like 5-day challenges that people will run to try and have lots of people for 5 days, because if you spend, let's say, 5 hours with someone, that might be the same in terms of their warmth to you or the associations they have with you as someone who might have spent a year consuming a 60-second clip, twice a week, right? Now, I will say, I think that extending the time horizon over time actually does have elements of trust that I won't get into, but they try to approximate what a trusting relationship would look like, which is exactly how you build brand, but they just try and condense the time window. And so this is why, if they want to sell you Swampland, they invite you to a vacation for free, and they spend 2 days with you pitching Swampland, because at the end of 2 days, you're like, wow, I spent 24 hours with this person. Like, I feel like I can trust them. And so they actually build a reputation in a very minor, in a mini way, in a tiny audience to make the sale. Whereas if you want to build, in my opinion, big brand, you want to build that same level of trust across millions of people. And then when you say, hey, I've got something, they all act as though they've been with you for 2 straight days to make the purchase. And if you spent 2 days with someone and said, hey, buy my basketball, they'll all buy it. But you just do that times 1 million. And that's what big brand looks like.